Sexual life is a universe full of discoveries where mind and body connect in fascinating ways. But what many people don't know is that psychology can be a great ally when it comes to transforming this experience into something even deeper and more pleasurable. Have you ever thought about how open communication, self-knowledge, and even therapy can completely change the dynamic with your partner? In this video, we'll explore these 3 powerful strategies that go beyond the physical and can open doors to a healthier and more fulfilling intimacy. If you're looking to better understand desire, attraction, and emotional connection, get ready to learn tips that can transform your sex life. Each insight could be the start of a new phase in your relationship. Without further ado, let's get started. Open communication: the secret to an intimate and sincere connection. Let's be honest, talking about desires and limits in bed isn't easy for everyone. The truth is that many people still find it difficult to open up about what they really like or what doesn't work for them, which can lead to a series of misunderstandings and frustrations. But think about it, how can your partner know what you want if you don't tell them? If you've avoided having these conversations, it's time for a change. Open and honest communication is fundamental, especially when it comes to sexuality. It's what creates the basis for a safe environment where you can both express yourselves without fear of judgment. What you say and how you say it can transform the dynamics of the relationship, building a space in which the needs of both are respected. But how do you start having these conversations? Many believe that talking about sex should only happen behind closed doors. However, the ideal is for these conversations to take place in a quiet environment outside of intimate moments to take the pressure off the situation. Have you thought about talking about it during a walk in the park or while you're watching a movie? Bringing up the subject when you're both relaxed can make everything feel more natural. In addition, using clear and positive language is crucial. Instead of saying, "I'm not satisfied," which can sound accusatory, try saying, "I'd like to explore something new together." This completely changes the tone of the conversation, making it more constructive and solution-focused. Another important point is active listening. Listening to what your partner has to say without interruptions is a sign of respect and empathy. When you give the other person space to talk, you are showing that you value their opinions and wishes. Often, during these conversations, we tend to think of answers instead of really listening. But the key here is to be present. Stop for a moment and ask yourself, did I really hear what she said, or was I just thinking about my next response? The practice of active listening can transform the relationship, creating a cycle of trust and openness. As well as listening, it's important to create a safe space to discuss insecurities and fears. It's not always easy to talk about what bothers us, especially in relation to our sexuality. However, when both partners feel comfortable sharing their fears, the bond between them strengthens. Imagine how nice it would be to be able to talk about everything without fear of being misunderstood or judged. To reach this level of openness, you need to build a foundation of trust, and this is done through constant small conversations, not just in moments of crisis. Finally, it is essential to remember that communication is an ongoing process. What works now may not be enough in the future, and that's normal. People change, desires change, and with that, conversations also need to evolve. Perhaps what seemed important at the start of the relationship is no longer the priority, and something new has emerged. Revisiting these topics from time to time ensures that the relationship remains aligned, preventing misunderstandings or frustrations. Of course, not every conversation will be perfect or easy, but the most important thing is to keep the dialogue open and flowing, adjusting as the relationship evolves over time. These conversations can even become moments of intimacy and connection. Remember that communication shouldn't be a burden but rather a way of enriching the relationship. After all, when you both feel heard and understood, trust grows, and this is directly reflected in your sex life. Don't be afraid to express how you feel, because every successful conversation can transform the way you and your partner relate, both emotionally and physically. So the next time something is bothering you or a new idea comes up, speak up. Intimacy begins with dialogue, and the quality of communication is what can take a relationship from good to amazing. Self-knowledge: how self-acceptance strengthens your sex life. Self-acceptance is the foundation for a healthy and fulfilling sex life, but it's not something that happens overnight. It's a gradual process that requires patience and, above all, compassion with yourself. How many times have you compared yourself to the standards that society imposes, feeling that you should fit into a mold? when faced with these external expectations, it's easy to lose confidence and think that our particularities are flaws. However, accepting who we are, our insecurities, limitations, and even imperfections is liberating. This acceptance not only brings us closer to ourselves, but also improves our connection with others. When we are okay with who we are, our energy changes, and this reflects directly on the way we relate to each other, especially in the sexual field. The confidence that comes with self-knowledge is essential to fully enjoying intimacy. Think about how you feel when you are comfortable in your own body, and when you know exactly what you like and what doesn't work for you. When this happens, it's much easier to surrender to the moment and live the experiences with genuine pleasure. After all, you're focused on the present without the weight of insecurity or fear of judgment. But how do you get to that point? How do you really achieve this inner confidence? A powerful way to strengthen self-acceptance is by practicing self-reflection. Take time to get to know yourself and explore your thoughts and feelings in an honest way. Journals, for example, are a great tool. By writing about your experiences, doubts, and desires, you begin to understand what you really value in your sex life. Meditation can also be an important ally, helping to calm the mind and connect you with your deepest emotions. And don't underestimate the power of a good conversation with trusted friends. Sometimes verbalizing our fears and insecurities in a safe environment helps us to see things more clearly. These practices allow you to identify your desires and limits more precisely, which is crucial for any intimate relationship. When you feel secure about what you want and need, communicating this to your partner becomes much simpler and more natural. Self-knowledge also helps us to break down internal barriers, such as guilt or shame, which we often carry around without realizing it. Discovering new forms of pleasure and understanding what we don't like is a natural and healthy path. There is no right or wrong when it comes to sexuality. Everyone has their own journey and rhythm. By accepting that your experience is unique and valid, you release the pressure of trying to fit into a pre-established pattern. This allows you to live your sexuality in a more authentic and pleasurable way without worrying about what others think. Acceptance of this fact is liberating because it allows us to live without the weight of external expectations. In addition, a valuable tool in this process is the practice of mindfulness. Being present and focused on the sensations of the body without being carried away by judgments or critical thoughts is a way of immersing yourself in the moment. How many times have you been physically present, but with your mind distracted by worries? Through mindfulness, you can let go of these distractions and enjoy the fullness of the experience. When we apply this practice to our sex life, we are able to uncover parts of ourselves that may have been hidden for a long time. This allows us to explore and better understand our feelings and reactions, opening up space for deeper and more satisfying intimacy. This awareness brings with it a greater ability to deal with expectations, whether those we have of ourselves or those that others may project. Understanding and accepting these expectations is the first step toward controlling how they affect our lives. Have you ever wondered how many times you've stopped expressing yourself or exploring something new for fear of judgment? Self-knowledge helps to dismantle this fear, making it easier to say yes to new experiences and no to what doesn't resonate with you. It's a process of liberation. Finally, self-acceptance is not just about feeling good about yourself physically, but also about being kind to yourself emotionally. It means recognizing that everyone, without exception, has insecurities, and that's okay. The problem is not the insecurities themselves, but how we deal with them. When we accept our imperfections, we manage to create a safe environment for dialogue and intimacy, both with ourselves and with our partner. This emotional security is what strengthens sexual confidence, allowing relationships to become fuller and more satisfying. If there's one thing to take away from this process of self-knowledge and self-acceptance, it's that true sexual confidence comes from within. When we accept ourselves as we are without masks or external impositions, we are able to live our sexuality more freely, more intensely, and much more satisfactorily. It's not about being perfect, but about being you in your entirety. Sex therapy, when asking for help, is the way to a stronger relationship. When it comes to sexuality, many people face challenges that directly impact their intimate life. These problems can be rooted in various factors, such as communication difficulties, personal insecurities, past traumas, or even a lack of knowledge about their own needs and desires. It's essential to understand that everyone may need help at some point. Seeking guidance from a qualified professional, such as a sex therapist, is not a sign of weakness but of courage and self-understanding. Recognizing that there is something that needs to be worked on and seeking help demonstrates a mature and proactive attitude toward relationships and sexuality. Often, couples or individuals feel that something is off in their sex life but don't know how to identify the root of the problem. A professional can help uncover these issues, allowing for a more profound understanding of individual desires and needs. Therapy can provide a space for partners to express themselves openly, exploring feelings and emotions that may have been repressed. This process can be a great way to promote healing, especially when dealing with past traumas that impact present relationships. In addition to helping with emotional and psychological issues, sex therapy also addresses practical aspects. Many people lack knowledge about their own bodies or their partner's bodies, which can lead to frustration in intimate moments. Therapists can provide education on anatomy, arousal, and pleasure, ensuring that both partners feel confident and secure during sexual encounters. After all, knowledge is power, and when both partners understand how to please each other, the connection becomes much stronger.